Good morning, I'm Cynthia Palmer. I'm currently an executive coach to lawyers, but I have had long experience in continuing professional development and law firm management. But I'm here today I would like to draw your attention to the Specialist Accreditation Program and what it can offer to the continuing education and professional development of lawyers. So I don't know if I want to say more about the specialist accreditation because I don't know to what extent how much you know or about it. But I do think it offers a lot. It is a program that the Law Society controls. It has been going for a long time. It is competency-based, so its focus is on the lawyer in action. So at the moment, it is only an assessment program. It was an assessment program because of its history in the fact that at the time when it was introduced, the Law Society did not want to be involved in developing people who would stand out from others. But there was a compromise in the fact that the specialist accreditation was allowed to go ahead on the basis that it only recognised skills rather than developed them. But I think those days are gone now, and I think that the Law Society could use the specialist accreditation program, its framework and approach, to develop really meaningful continuing education programs. For one thing, it could develop programs that lead into accreditation, and it can use its approach to develop other sorts of programs that may not necessarily lead into accreditation. But one of the things that has been spoken about this morning is the continuing specialisation, and accreditation can play a big role in that. Yes, I think I've just forgotten what I was going to say next.
Thank you. No, if it comes back to you as we're talking, please.
Could I just say one more thing? I mean, one of the questions that's asked of everybody here all the time, who is responsible? Is it the university? Is it the PLT? Is it the law firms? But I would add the Law Society onto the end of that, because the Law Society, I know, has an interest in the competence of the profession. And not everybody works in a top-tier firm who is sort of looked after and educated, and in a way that's the rest of the people that need the support and input of the Law Society.
Can I ask you a question about your coaching work? Is that with lawyers of all levels of experience and age, or is there a particular cohort of lawyers that you're dealing with? And if you could just explain the nature of the work that you do for them.
Probably the focus of it would be at the people who are transitioning from being technical lawyers to people in leadership positions. So that's really, and the other area would be senior practitioners who are probably dealing with issues. It's generally personal and management issues, as you would imagine, not legal issues.
And is this something that is specific to a particular age group, or are you seeing lawyers at all age levels?
You mean
the work that you're doing? I'm trying to understand. Are you dealing with newly graduated
not so
university
much.
graduates?
No.
Okay. In the work that you've done, what changes have you observed in the legal landscape, and where do you think things are heading?
I'm afraid I won't be able to tell the future. But, I mean, obviously there are themes, and I think the themes have been a long time coming. I think specialisation is definitely a theme. When you think back into the 80s, when you weren't even allowed to mention the word specialist, you weren't allowed to promote yourself or advertise yourself as a specialist. There's been a change, and that's sort of going to continue on. Whether whether different groups of solicitors will break off into their specialist groups and sort of have more focused industry bodies, that might be an issue.
Do you have occasion to work with general practitioners and those who are not specialists but are doing a bit of everything?
No, not really, no.
Do you have a view
I
about...
can't remember that.
Do you have a view about the future role of general practitioners?
Well, in a way, general practitioners were really never general practitioners, were they? That, you know, you're a general practitioner, you're probably sort of in the suburban practice, or, you know, people did everything that came in the door, but what came in the door was predicated by where you were.
Mm.
So, I don't know what's going to happen in that regard. And I actually don't know what's happening now in that regard. I worked for the Law Society some time ago, and even at that time, so that'd be mid-90s, there were issues around the level of income for a lot of the profession, which was sort of not really marvellous. So, and I would imagine that sort of stayed the same.
Can I ask you about ongoing training, CPD?
Yeah.
Do you think it's adequate at the moment, or do you think that there are areas of improvement? I'm talking across the board, not just the Law Society, but across the board.
I think there are great areas for improvement, because I think sadly it's looked upon as a money maker rather than something to put investment into and then reap the rewards. And so I'm not sure that I think there are limited styles of CPD. Yes, so I think that great improvements could be made.
In any particular area? Any particular topics?
Oh, I don't know that offhand.
Okay.
No, I couldn't.
Thank you.
It's interesting you say that, though. I'm a graduate of the Australian Institute of Company Directors, and I think we have to do 60 hours of CPD every 3 years, whereas as a lawyer I think I only have to do 10 hours a year.
10.
And
yeah.
I've always thought it's quite interesting that as a director I have to do more than as a lawyer, and that doesn't quite make sense to me. I imagine it should be the other way around.
To get that 10 hours was an incredibly hard-fought battle. So if you're an accredited specialist, you have to do 20.
Right, but even that's not much.
No. Well, good luck with that.
Therein lies the problem. Understood.